So this is our bacon that's been curing for a week, and what I did is every couple days I'd kind of turn it over and do some of this to, you can't see it all that well, but there is like a little bit of juice in this bag from when the salt brought the water out of the meat, like there. Every couple of days I'd turn it over and redistribute that stuff, and it's nice and firm when you press on it, and the book says that that's how you know it's done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the meat out of the bag here, and then I'm going to wash it off real well, because it's very salty at this point, and we want to wash all of that cure off of there before we smoke it. I've taken the bacon, after washing it off, I dried it off as well as I could with a paper towel, and now I have to smoke this to an internal temperature of 150 degrees. And in order to know that it's at 150 degrees, I use a meat thermometer that's connected to a little digital temperature readout, and I'm looking for the thickest part of the meat so that I'm sure that all of it is at a temperature of 150. Now the problem you run into is there are some thinner parts that are going to go up in temperature more than that, but I'm just wanting to make sure that it's not underdone, so I'm going to put it in the thickest part. And by 150 degrees I mean 150 degrees Fahrenheit. I've got my smoker preheated, about 200 degrees, but it's hard to get it exact. And the temperature, no matter what I do, tends to fluctuate, so I'm not going to pretend. But it's about 200 degrees. And I'm going to put the bacon on the smoking racks here. But first, I've got my apple smoked, or my applewood chips that have been soaking in water for a couple hours. I've drained the water off, and I'm going to throw them in the bucket here. And in a very short amount of time here, we're going to get some smoke. So I'm going to close this up. Temperature gauge is reading right at 200. Got some nice smoke coming out, and in a few hours we should have bacon. Well, my timer went off. We're at 150. Wanted you to see this glorious bacon. So our bacon is finished, and to make it so it would fit in my cutter, I trimmed off this end. If you have to do that, don't throw those away, because these are great as like a flavoring for a soup or something like that, or you can even cut it up even finer on the slicer and just get other strips of bacon out of it. I use a slicer. I have used a knife before, but I prefer slicer just because it gets more uniform cuts. It takes a little bit to get it adjusted to where you want the thickness, so I'm going to carve off a few slices and see if I like the thickness. So there was the first one. This is more like what I would, like a thin slice. I'm gonna thicken it up a little bit here, and that's about perfect for my tastes. Like I was saying, you have to cool the bacon all the way down before you slice it, otherwise it just doesn't slice very well. And now for the best part.